the magical murals of Scott Murphy, local literary picks, and the Hobo Nephews perform live on the playlist. That's next.
Funding for the playlist is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Foot-stopping roots innovators Teague and Ian Alexi have built a following across the country. Tonight, they share their personal style live in our studio. Please welcome the Hobo Nephews of Uncle Frank.
In the city it's raining, pitter patter on the street. I can't believe what people saying, and it's hard to move along with the beat. But I think I got it down. Meet me 2 o'clock uptown. I see you waiting outside the theater for me. And I can still hear your voice long after you've left. And I get a little bit of hope from the things that you said. And it's right there in your heart, even if the world is dark. In the moonlight, we are no longer blind. In the morning, with the sun, when the moon looks light above, I will see you, I will answer, no regrets, it doesn't matter. Now come on, California, lay me out on your golden shore. Take me to the limit, what are we waiting for? Are you bold enough to dance? Let a poor boy have his chance. He's been waiting ever since you gave him that first glance. In the morning, with the sun, when the moon
Well, stay tuned for more foot-stomping music and discover more about the brothers' musical journey later in the show, so stick around. But right now, a massively talented artist, Scott Murphy, takes us into his world. Charged with creating a mural celebrating the region's arts and cultural heritage, he spent a year researching and painting. And the result now hangs in the rotunda at the historic depot in Duluth.
I wanted to start working on something and just let it grow from one point and then let the different parts bounce off each other. My name's Scott Murphy and I'm painting a mural for the Depot Foundation. So then this side is this is the newer Duluth up on the hill, and then it's probably the older one here. When I think about Duluth, ever since I was little, it's always that hill. You know, and that's had to be there. So that hill is pretty much along this the whole mural. There are 12 panels, 4 by 7.5, so it's 48 feet long and 7.5 feet tall. I'm really comfortable working on large scales because I spent 17 years painting billboards. There really are interesting people in Duluth. It's not just a cool looking place on a nice lake. I mean, it's way more than that. So I wanted to try to bring my affection towards Duluth, out a little bit more in a more realistic way. It can get overbearing right away, I think, especially with the trolley where I put the fish in there, because I did a trolley before where there were a bunch of portraits almost in it. So this time I didn't want that to be these people just looking out the window. I wanted to, have a reference to the lake and the aquarium, which is part of the town, and still people are going, why are they in the trolley? I don't know, they're just in there. It's just, just the deal. That's the way it goes sometimes. The composition's really important to the whole of it. It has to work with everything. It has to have some kind of a rhythm or a pattern with, like the angles that the arms make, or the triangle shapes of the teepees. There's a lot of triangles in this. I wanted to put the Sir Duluth and the Viking sculpture statues, they're kind of out on the town. And how it's going to look in that rotunda, I have no idea. That's the next thing, It's finishing up time, putting the last section in right now. So, yep, long time coming. This is probably about a year's project. Something I thought would probably take, 2 months tops. So, you don't know until it's in the space. And I think it's going to be okay. The public thing is, it's really interesting to me, because I didn't think there'd be so much that you'd have to think about when you're dealing with public artwork. I hope they see things that they're familiar with in town, or people, or something that ties them into it, that they have part ownership in. A sense that this place is worth caring about. That this is, really, to me it's really important.
It's kind of nice to see Teague immortalized there in the big mural. Now, when great illustrations and engaging stories come together, it's literary magic. Local artists have a lot to offer this holiday season. And Margie, thank you for joining us to tell us a little bit more about the kids' books that are on the market.
My pleasure.
We were just laughing, Sneaky Sheep by Chris Monroe. I mean, we have to show the back before we talk about the front.
These are two sneaky sheep that have been known to make bad decisions over the years. Here they're playing cards with the famous dogs playing cards. One of their many bad decisions.
Many bad decisions. See, you can prove that playing cards and hanging out with bad dogs is a bad decision.
Run with scissors and get into all kinds of trouble. Of course, they fortunately have Murphy, the sheepdog, to herd them back to the meadow where they belong.
And it's amazing how many local artists are doing cool things with children's books.
Beautiful illustrations. This one's laugh out loud funny, Sneaky Sheep. And Dark Emperor is another book that's a local artist. Oh, Big Belching Bog is just gorgeous. It should be called Big Belching Beautiful Bold Bog because it's a great big book and it's got bold colors and beautiful illustrations by Betsy Bowen. and all kinds of good information about the bogs of northern Minnesota. So you can learn a lot and you can enjoy the beautiful illustrations. Another one that's about local and our North Woods is The Dark Emperor and Other Poems of the Night by Joyce Sidman and illustrated by Rick Allen. And these are gorgeous, gorgeous woodblock cuts by Rick Allen and poems and information on the side about all the creatures that come out at night in the North Country. Ubiquitous.
Joyce also, she wrote Dark Emperor and she wrote Ubiquitous. And it's cool that there's poetry and there's information.
Yep, they're both have sort of the same format, and also gorgeous illustrations by Becky Prangy. And
She lives in Ely.
She lives in Ely. We learned a lot reading this, didn't we, Karen? Things we didn't know.
I know, these are the things you want to share. And here's Henry. Henry, You're Late Again. And that was illustrated by Brian Barber, also a local Duluth artist who does kind of crazy fun work.
Another fun, laugh out loud book.
Yeah, and it's a good one. And all these books are available locally, as is, let's talk about this last book, Margie.
All right.
The Heart of the Samurai. You know more about this one than any of the other ones.
Yeah, but you talk about it.
Well, it's a fantastic book about adventure, and it's got a shipwreck, and it's got
mutiny, it's whaling, it's got gold seeking, and all kinds of adventure on the high seas. And it's true, it's a true story.
So what inspired you to do this?
Well, it's kind of a long chain of events, but I think our sister city relationship with Japan and traveling there and learning more about Japan and then learning about this real person who really lived. He was the first Japanese person to come to America. And he had so many great adventures that it was a really great story to tell and really fun to write.
And I'm glad that it's catching on, not only here, but in Japan. That is really cool. And congratulations, and thank you so much for just giving us a chance to talk about some of the great books that are out there.
Thank you. They're great. They are great books.
Yeah. Well, coming up next, Anita Zager, a local bookstore owner, will bring us a sampling of good reads for adults, and she'll be here right after this.
We've got every age represented here, all the way from 3rd grade through senior high. My name is Mary McDonald. I'm the elementary, middle school, high school art teacher up at Cook County Schools. These are examples of exemplary student work. These are 8th grade sand paintings. The effect is very textural because you see the sparkle of the sand in the light. These are examples of clay sculptures. So the whole idea was to fool the eye. On this wall, we're going to see some examples of students' perspective drawing studies, and a very excellent oil paint or acrylic painting it is by one of our students. Over here we've got examples of the 4th and 5th grade birch paintings that they did. They were all shown exactly the same technique, but I think it's amazing that they all turned out so differently from each other. So there's got at least 200 students' work represented here.
Now please welcome Anita Zager to the playlist. As the proprietor of a local bookstore, you certainly know your books and know what local bookstores books are coming out.
Right.
One of the ones that I've wanted to talk about for a while.
Yes, we're happy to present William Kent Kruger's 10th book on the Cork O'Connor series, Vermilion Drift. The setting is the Tower Sudan mine up in Ely. His series is about a detective that lives his life in northeastern Minnesota. It's a great best-selling collection for us.
They're mysteries, right?
They're mysteries, right.
Okay.
Cork O'Connor is the main character. The next book we'd like to feature is The Dance Boots by Linda Grover, and she was honored with the Flannery O'Connor Award presented by the University of Georgia Press. They award 2 annually for short fiction. It's quite an honor. She's a professor here at UMD. The next book is a narrative story from Lori Herzl, news to me, that she was a writer with the Duluth News Tribune from 1977 to the 1990s, and she has covered major stories in Duluth and gives us the behind-the-scenes story.
Okay, I heard this described as a kiss and tell, only you know some of the characters.
Yes, yeah, and there might even be a little kissing going on, too. Picture Duluth is by Dennis O'Hara, brought to you by X Communications. quintessential Duluth collection, great coffee table book gift for the holiday season. The next one, Paddle North, is by great photographer Lane Kennedy and writer Greg Brenning. If you've paddled in the North Woods, known anybody who paddled in the North Woods or would like to, they can show you the pictures about what to expect, but also incorporate some practical tidbits on paddling.
There's a picture in there of somebody muddy from the knees down from portaging.
That's what happened.
I think Lane knows the story.
Yep, the
And
mud portage.
Tell me about these crazy Finnish saunas.
Then if you're in the mud portage, why not go to the Finnish sauna? The opposite of cold, the Northwoods Finnish tradition by Michael Nordstad and Aaron Hautala. I practice so much on these pronunciations. Brought to you by University of Minnesota Press, from Scandinavian, the Upper Peninsula, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. This is a great book for anyone in the Northland.
Yeah. And I know all these books are available locally.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
And thank you for making that commitment to give local authors and illustrators a chance
It's
to show
been an
off their
honor.
work.
We're very happy we can do it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what the next chapter for you is.
Thank you.
That's very exciting. Well, for a full list of titles, you can check out our website. It'll be on there, titles, authors, and publishers. And we'll be right back in a minute.
I think bright colors are fun because they jump out a little bit more, and they also kind of add a more surreal, dreamlike quality. I'm Adam Swanson, and this is my newest exhibit, The Human Presence. It's just about human presence within nature. I think I use a lot of penguins because they're a symbol of Antarctica, and it's like a very large and powerful place, but I feel like it's also very fragile. I paint with acrylic paints. I use a lot of some colored pencils and some chalk and charcoal as well. Yeah, I love bikes. I think, they're really great symbols of human ingenuity, and I use them in a similar way as I use wind generators. I think they're like a little symbol of hope for the things that humans are capable of and what we can do. I got a grant from the Arrowhead Regional Arts Council, and it sort of allowed me a great significant amount of time to make a bunch of paintings that I felt like I didn't have to worry about making them to please anybody except for myself. I could just sort of say the things I wanted to say and use the types of images that I'm interested in.
A piece of his work is in our playlist gallery this week, Compliments of Lizards Gallery here in Duluth. And you can see more art, find links to arts events, and watch stories on our website anytime. Just navigate your way to theplaylistonline.org. And now, without further ado, please welcome back the Hobo Nephews of Uncle Frank, performing live in the Playlist studio.
My best friend's sister thinks I'm a low plains drifter, but she don't know me that well. And this dude from Dorchester thought I was a jitterbug Chester, but he don't know me that well. And don't think me true or untrue, 'cause my hair's green, my eyes are blue, 'cause you don't know me that well. I got a big old shoe and I got a smile breaking itself in two. You don't know me that well, but if I could ever catch that train, I'd run alongside. I'd throw my bag in and oh my, there'd be good times again. Says that lately I've been acting a little bit crazy, but she don't know me that well. And Joe thinks that I'm feeling low, looking thin and beat down, but he don't know me that well. And they say I'm ungracious and audacious and a drunk in love with the waitress, but You don't know me that well. I'm a little over dramatic, little frantic, couple really bad habits. You don't know me that well. If I could ever catch that train, I'd run alongside. I'd throw my bag in, oh mama, there'd be good times again.
I don't know you that well yet, but we're about to get to know you a little bit better. Welcome to the playlist. Thank you. Thanks so tell me a little bit about the sound. Is it blues? Is it rock? There's foot stomping in there. Where does that come from?
Well, I guess when we started the group, we were just trying to get back to the earlier influences like Woody Guthrie and Lead Belly and Sonny Boy Williamson as the big one for Teague on the harmonica. And yeah, so it's a combination of all that American music from, you know, I guess World War II and before and a little bit after.
Okay, you've been called the voice of the Renaissance, basically, the Minnesota roots innovators. How does that fit? How does that feel?
Well, being that we're from New Jersey,
yeah, I don't think we're the rightful owners of that.
Yeah, I think it seemed fitting for us to do that when we moved to Minnesota, and I live out in the country, and a train goes right by my house, and it was really, you know, it was a part of music history that I had kind of passed over as a musician. You know, I knew Muddy Waters, and you know, I'd listened to those kind of things, but I hadn't really found a reason to dive into it. You know, living in New Jersey and California, it doesn't seem as important or as relevant, I should say, as it does in Minnesota. So.
Particularly living near train tracks. And tell me a little bit about the foot stomping. Where does that come in?
Well, it's just I've always kind of stopped my feet playing, and we just we really like the feel of it, and you know, I made this with a neighbor of mine out in Holyoke, a good friend, and named Dave Sorensen, and you know, it just kind of took on a life of its own. We never really planned for it. But it just kind of, we used to play with a drummer, and, you know, he couldn't make certain shows, and we decided to kind of try and make up for it, and then we decided to just keep running with it.
It adds a lot, and particularly if you're playing in places where people want to dance.
Yeah, it keeps the backbeat going.
Yeah. So tell me what's next for you guys. You're on the road even this weekend, but then you're coming back.
Yeah, we have some shows in Minnesota this weekend. New Year's Eve, we're playing here in Duluth at Pizza Luce with Eric Berry of Trampled by Turtles joining us, and also Crew Jones opening up the night as well.
And Ian, you also have a solo CD coming out and a party to be had at the Brew House. I understand.
Do, yeah. It didn't happen last weekend at Beaner's because I was trapped in the snow in Minneapolis, but January 7th will be the CD release show at Fitker's Brew House for my new record.
That's fantastic, and congratulations on just a great journey, and it'll be fun to follow your trajectory, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come over tonight.
Our pleasure.
Well, you got one more song for us. We're going to say goodbye to everybody else. Thanks for watching tonight. Have a great and creative holiday season. Go out and support your local artists, including the Hobo Nephews of Uncle Frank. Take care.
I'm standing on the corner with nothing to do. Someday I'll ring the bell twice. I'll walk away from the door. I'll take a roam around the earth, wrap my big head around that. Wonder what good as a dancing poet if he isn't sleeping on the floor. It's not a half-bad story, depending on who tells it. So wind up your tongue, loosen your lips, and don't be selfish. You got lightning on your cereal, thunder on your toast. You're so lonely and cursing like you never left the coast. When the man landed on the moon, you had no time for that. You were riding on Ferris wheel wearing a big hat. Well, the first and the last straw have at last reunited. So don't shoot me, I'll shoot you first. Things go wrong, why fight it? Besides, I'm just a true believer. I don't really know that much. Some see darkness in the alley. I see the great shortcut. When a bridge burned down, was supposed to take us there and back. When riding on Ferris wheel, wearing a big hat. Trick pony, I got at least one for each sleeve. To the madhouse, about a horse apiece, and about throwing that sledgehammer just to hear that big bell sound. I played Little League as a kid. I'll shut up that loudmouth clown.
Funding for the playlist is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and by viewers like you.